Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Been doing some work in here, been talking to Jess today. It's been nice. She comes and goes as she pleases, but she's been here 2 days in a row, so really cool. And I'll tell you what, I got called out the other day, and sometimes when I get called out I get defensive, but this time I'm like, you know what, I think this person's right. And they said, hey, you always trash thrift stores, you're saying thrifting is declining, you better watch out if you're just a thrifter. What about garage sales? Everybody says garage sales are going downhill. You're not going to be able to source there anymore. So I did a little bit of research, and we're going to talk about that today. Let's go take a look. So the comment went on to say, you know, look, just look at your own comments. Look at all the people on social media saying, you know, garage sales are terrible this year and whatever. And I was like, okay. Let's dig into this, because this is always on my mind as well. Are there going to be more yard sales, less yard sales? What are the prices going to be? Because that's my primary sourcing method. By the way, I don't say it's the best sourcing method. It's just the best for me because I love it. Like this awesome item. I bought this at a yard sale just the other day. And there was quite a bit of stuff that was priced up. It was a highway sale. You'll be seeing some of it. You'll be seeing the video as well. Where did this sticker come from? Good water. I don't remember putting that up there. Anyway, this one right here was on the table, and there were so many good deals along with some of the ones that weren't so good. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay up. I'm going to bundle this whole thing together. A few things I'm going to pay up for in this bundle, but I know there's some winners. Like this, for instance. I don't remember what the price was, y'all. I think it might have been $5. And I'm like, I can definitely make some money on that. I love these things. Could have sold them independently. There's the hotcakes, like transformer changeable things from McDonald's. These are old ones. Happy Meal. There's no nuggets in here. And look at that. Those old styrofoam. Ugh, man. I used to love, my dad delivered newspapers. He had a LA Times agency in Redlands, California. My brother was older, and he would go down with them. And when I got a little older, right before he quit doing that, I would go for two reasons. The donuts, and I would get an Egg McMuffin at the end of the day. And I would help him, but I was probably less help, more trouble. This little lot right here sold for, I think my wife put this in drafts at like $29. I'm like, no, this is a good one. Great conditions, got all the cool ones in it. I'm like, I'm going to put it out there for $34.95, and it sold quick. I know a lot of you are new to the channel, but I'm a history geek. I taught history for 21 years, and looking back at our history, looking at the history of the world, I would have suspected what I found out, which is that garage sales came to be a big, big deal in the United States in the 1950s. There's a lot of places around the world where it's still not a big deal, which is too bad. I'm not moving because I like garage sales. I'm going to read this to you in the trends, and we'll get down to the day, modern day here, and look at the trends. And this really isn't going to deal with pricing, because I've seen an upward trajectory of pricing. I don't know if you want to, you know, account that to Google Lens, eBay, the availability of being able to sell your stuff online, or if you want to attribute it to jerks like me out there putting it on video, if you just want to attribute it to inflation, or maybe a combination of all of the above plus some other things. All right, here we go. In the 1950s through the 1970s, garage sales emerged rapidly across United States suburbs as surplus consumption increased. They became an entrenched American weekend ritual by the 1970s, and there's no doubt in my mind. I was obviously born in the 70s, but I wasn't going to garage sales when I was a baby. But I went to garage sales. We had garage sales in Southern California, and I absolutely loved them. Didn't go out like as a ritual. I was always playing baseball. But when I had the chance and my mom would go or we'd have one, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I think the big push is exactly what they said. It is the fact that, well, I will get into some history. I won't bore you with it. But, you know, after World War II, we started to make alliances, especially with East Asian countries, and everything started to be made in Japan, Taiwan, Korea. And, of course, those were with our allies rebuilding Japan. Like, I would suspect that this is probably made in, there you go, Japan or Taiwan. It says Taiwan right there. And I'm sure I have some Japan stuff here as well. And then later, like this is, I guarantee this is going to be China right here. Matter of fact, some of these, I think these came out over different years, I believe. So maybe some of these are made in Japan, or I doubt it. In the 1980s, we had shifted completely. These are probably all going to be made in China, even in the 80s. Yeah, that one says made in China, 1987. I think these were earlier ones. And that's, or later ones, I should say, 1990. So it's definitely made in China. I only mention that to say that the causation for a lot of this was almost certainly the mass consumer society and cheap goods coming into our country. And, you know, it's easier to replace, right, than it is to manufacture, buy new, repair, all that. And that's changed over the years. This is a Kors belt buckle. And that one right there, I'm trying to remember where I got this one. I bought a whole lot of belt buckles. I probably got it out of that lot, just don't remember it. It sold for $22 plus shipping. This is probably from the 70s, is my guess. So I guess what I'm saying is, what's the causation for the beginning of it? And then that might tell us a little bit about the trends that are going to happen now, along with some other factors. So I think, I have no doubt that mass consumerism and East Asian products coming here, and from other places, but primarily from East Asia, is really what led to the excess in the home. And kids get, you know, you talk to somebody who's got a lot of age on them, they'll be like, yeah, I think my mother-in-law says, you know, that what did they get in their stocking? They literally got like an orange and different fruit like that, right? But when I was growing up, my stocking was jam-packed full. Jam-packed. And we didn't have any money. Comparatively, like all of my friends, it's like I had some that had less money than me and 90% that had more money than us. But hey, I thought I was rich because my stocking was full. And we had yard sales, there's no doubt. And I guarantee you, we had more than they had in the generations before because we had so much of an excess. By the 2000s, estimates suggested, so early 2000s here, 6.5 to 9 million garage sales per year nationwide. That's a big range, but I mean, how do you track this stuff? With roughly 165,000 occurring every single week in this country. That's a lot of yard sales. And I'm trying to remember this, because they had these at a yard sale right here. I just went to it. These Stitch, I guess they're kind of like those Labubu things, I guess. Miniso? I don't know what they are. At any rate, I think they were $15 a piece, and they were in good shape. That box is a little damaged, but they were new. And I was like, you know what, how about 4 for $50, I think is what we settled on. So $12.50 a piece. And I don't like paying that much at a yard sale, but I knew these would sell. This one sold pretty quickly for $45 plus shipping. So we've almost got our 50 bucks back. It's not quite. We're probably at, I don't know, what are fees on that? Probably about $12 short of making our money back on one. And we'll be in the profit with the second one, well into the profit with the other ones. So fast forward to today, and I'm gonna give you guys a chance. Matter of fact, let me know down below where you source. Let me know if you're a garage sale sourcer, if you're a thrift store sourcer, you know, if the bins, or if you source online, or if you have private connections. There's all kinds. There's wholesale stuff, all kinds of ways that I actually would suggest that people, if they're trying to make it a full-time income, do. Because you could do it this way. You can make a full-time income, but it's difficult to scale to make, you know, $500,000 a year or something if you're just going to garage sales. But I'm not interested in scaling to $500,000 a year. I pushed myself, and we're looking to gross $250,000 this year, and that's, you know, that's a lot. I think that's possible for folks to do as well, just going to garage sales. I know that seems crazy. It's hard to sell that much is the problem, but I have Jess that helps and my wife that helps a little bit too. So, all right, here we go. Reports by the mid-2000s. Although precise annual totals aren't published, obviously, the scale of garage sales has not declined dramatically. Some narrative pieces even describe America as becoming one giant yard sale amid rising reuse trends. And so there's another part of it that comes into the equation. And those people who want to keep things out of landfills, they can't consciously it's the same people that donate, right? You know, they've got stuff of value. They don't even care about the mission of any of these thrift stores or whatever. They just want it out of their house and feel a clean conscience that they didn't take it to the dump. I know there's a lot of people out there like that as well, which also means there's a lot of opportunity out there that's untapped, but we'll get into that some other video. Of course, all of these things, and we're going to take it decade by decade, have micro influence as well. And the last few years, I think there's an influence that we miss sometimes, and that is just the rapid growth. This might take me a minute to find, y'all, of Airbnbs. I see so many people out there shopping, and it's because they're shopping to decorate. their Airbnbs at a reasonable price. I think that's so fascinating to me. Obviously, that's not going to drive the market. Hold on a minute. I was looking in the wrong bin. It was actually in that little trash can right there. A little MCM, and I've gotten better at this. And there's not huge money in it, but man, when I see something sitting on a table like that for a quarter, I pick it up. And this particular sale, they were super sweet raising money, and I couldn't find anything I wanted. And I'm like, you know what, I'll buy these from you. I don't remember what I paid. I think they were a quarter. They might have been 50 cents a piece. I probably gave them $1 regardless of what the heck it was, knowing they wouldn't sell for a bunch. But they did sell $15.15 for those, plus shipping. There's a little signature on there. Obviously, it's, not a real signature, but easy to look them up and use comps and stuff like that. And so I knew I could get it probably right around what I got, a little over 15 bucks plus shipping. The 1950s, it says hundreds of thousands a year, niche and suburban beginnings. 1960s, low millions, adoption spreads for garage sales. 1970s, 3 to 5 million a year. It says the boom was growing in the 1970s. 1980s, still growth, 5 to 7 million. Mainstream culture. So it's in our culture, it's in our blood at this point. Kids remember doing it with their parents, and they just kept doing it, and it caught on. 1990s, 7 to 9 million, peak widespread usage. 7 to 9 million in the 1990s. That's not when I started. I started in the 2000s and early 2000. Well, I mean, I was yard selling when I was a kid, but starting to resell, going to garage sales in the early 2000s. Like, I think 2000 itself. 8 to 9 million yard sales in America. I think at this point it's kind of tracking the growth of population in the United States. Institutionalized norm, they call it. And we'll save the 10s and 20s for this analysis here in a second. Next one's a viewer sale. It is up there. I gotta get my ladder right here, and then we'll get back to the topic. But this one is one I picked up. It wasn't a garage sale. It was a private pick. You may have seen it a couple weeks back on the Commonwealth Picker channel. It was not heavily watched, and that was one of my best days of the year. I'll put it up here maybe if I can think about it when I'm editing. You can go check it out. It was a crazy awesome sale. And this one, what is it, Galadriel? Is that how you pronounce it? I loved Tolkien. I loved The Lord of the Rings. Just loved it. When I was a kid, watching the old VHS and cartoon versions. And of course, well, that's Cate Blanchett. Don't judge. Any rate, that one right there, I think we have listed, what did it sell for? $49.50 for that one. A lot of the Lord of the Rings stuff for a long time did not sell. Toy Biz, but man, some of it now really does okay, and you gotta keep an eye out for it. I've passed on it for years, and now I'm looking for it. So super cool right there, almost 50 bucks plus shipping. And like I said, this one was a viewer sale. Went to Claudette and Barn Swallow 1978. Been watching your content for quite a few years now, and still enjoy watching it. I'm buying this for my husband, who also is a big fan of yours and a fan of Lord of the Rings. I have a request. If it's okay, if you don't mind, I understand if you don't want to do it. Could you share this link? It's a site from the National Kidney Registry. It tells my husband's story about his stage 5 kidney disease, and the link, and then links to find him a donor. Well, we'll share this for sure. He struggles daily from pain. I'm trying anything to bring attention to his story. Absolutely, we can do it here. I'll read it. Maybe I'll put it on the screen here. Obviously, HTTPS. All right, let's just start it. nkr.org/WVP364. Man, thank you very much for the kind message. Thank you for the purchase, and we wish you the absolute best. I know there's a lot of folks out there that'll say a prayer when they hear this, so I'll tell you, I hate to read things like this and make it about me, but I don't know y'all, so I will just say this. There was a time, I don't talk about it much, I've alluded to it before, but in my life, in my later 20s, I guess I'd say, where one of the things I did to get out of it was, well, I don't need to go into detail. I'll just say that I wanted to start doing some things that were very selfless in my life. Let's just say that. And one of them was a donor list. I was on all kinds of donor lists, and I put myself on that, and I got a call one day for a bone marrow match. And I'm like, whew. You put your name on that stuff and you do that, And obviously this is a different scenario. And I was like, okay, I put my name down. How could you say no, right? How could you not do that? And everything was scheduled. I had the date lined up. It was 2 days away. Had taken a day off of teaching. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And literally 2 days before, they called and said, we have a better match. Thank you. I was like, whew, that was awesome. I'm glad I didn't have to do it, but I would have done it. And I can't imagine. We have a friend right now whose son is looking for a heart transplant. I mean, I can't imagine the difficulty that people go through. And anyway, we'll get back to the topic, but thank you very much. I remember people telling me years back, you know, the big minimalist phase, and it's like, it's going to kill what we're doing. Nobody's going to just buy stuff to buy it anymore. And I'm like, no. Plus, people who did that were actually having tons of yard sales as well. So like I said, there's micro changes to trends and whatever. And right, you know, for the last few years, the whole vintage clothing thing, in some ways, I think that's changing. That's probably not the best of things, but there will always be crowds out there for different stuff. Even with the minimalist stuff, 99% of people still weren't minimalists. It's just ingrained in our culture to be consumers. Albert King, The Pinch, had this for a long time, y'all. And I delisted this one, and I relisted it, and for a little bit of a discount, maybe $1 off. And it sold just like that. So it's definitely worth doing that sometimes. $10.50 plus shipping. All right, and then in the 2010s, I guess you should say, this is the first time they show any slowing or decline. Plateauing, I guess is a better word, at 8 million plus. So the previous one was 8 to 9 million, and you're seeing a plateau. I personally would attribute that to the ease of listing online and selling your things off online that would keep people from necessarily having a garage sale, but still give them outlets to get rid of it. So that's where you see a plateau. And in the 2020s, they're not giving exact numbers. They're not trying to, they're giving a bigger range, let's say. They're saying it's steady. Could reach as much as 9 million, but it could actually be going down just a little bit as well. But they are certainly saying that the trend is still in selling things off that are used. And that just might entail different ways. I know people selling on our Dibdit marketplaces that are simply having garage sales. And they're doing it online instead of doing it at an actual garage sale. So I think you're still seeing the growth of it, but I do think you've seen a plateauing for sure. So before we get into the rest of this, let's get personal here. If you're a garage seller, let's throw out price for a minute. Just goods that you see out there and the amount of garage sales going up, down, or staying the same. And how's your success? This is another one of these whole keychains. Boy, we have sold a bunch since this passing. $12.95 plus shipping. But before we dig in a little bit more here, the conclusion, kind of wrap up of what we already talked about, there are roughly as many garage sales today, right now, as in the recent past. Maybe slightly fewer, but not a dramatic drop. So activity is comparable to past decades with only gradual shifts. So I've got future predictions here. I'm just gonna, well, I'll tell you what, I'll read this first and then you can tell me where you think they're right or wrong. They also go into detail about where these sales are, and it's not my experience. Well, Oregon was per capita one of the highest garage. Is that true? People that live in Oregon? Per capita, one of the highest places for garage. I've never heard that before. I do know there's some good picking up there, and I know some folks, ABC Matt, which we're reminding people to go watch ABC Matt videos this month. The month of August, go watch ABC Matt and get him over the hump and finally get him monetized over there. Anyway, let's see here. Economic, likely stable or slightly increasing for garage sales. And then the rationale, which as a teacher, students hated, but of course I loved. Economic pressure and inflation are pushing consumers towards secondhand goods. They're, pushing out the consumerism out into the garage sales themselves because of the cost of new goods. I think that will be key too. And there's not going to be garage sales unless there's garage sale patrons. And if you're setting up a yard sale and you make $50 and you're out there in the sweltering heat, you're like, I'm not doing that again. And so that's key. It's really pushed by the consumers that are going, which is why y'all shouldn't hate resellers so much if you do. But most people watching this don't. And one other category is parts. This happens to be garage door opener stuff. With all the pressures. I turned my AC on because I went in and talk to the boys for a minute. Let me turn this off really quick. Bubba's home today, and he's playing with Turner. Anyway, you know, I really think there is a upside in parts, used parts, whether it's from just increased costs, tariffs, manufacturing, you know, logistics, whatever. We've all seen this if you've had to get a car part repaired. This one right here sold for $45 plus shipping. I paid $1 for it. All right, some more of the rationale here. We did economic pressure, inflation's pushing consumers, secondhand goods, sustainability trends, support reuse and community-based exchanges. There's no doubt about that. I'm seeing that not just in garage sales, but other facets as well, and thrifting. We already got that. Social media and online listing tools, making organizing and discovering sales much easier, lowering the barrier for people to have a yard sale and to promote it and to get people to actually come to it. That is true. However, the professional resellers in minimalistic households may limit sale volume or alter quality. Personally, I don't understand the first part of it. Professional resellers, we're the ones buying so much of this stuff. I don't know what percentage it is, but I went to a sale the other day and there was maybe 8 people in there. 5 of them, I know them. They are resellers. So there you go. Rationale, a combination of economic necessity, environmental awareness, and better technological support stabilizes and increases with modest growth expected. Growth won't be explosive for garage sales, but garage sales remain a resilient cultural practice. So there you go. Garage sales are not dying. Although, we have something else to talk about, which is the pricing at those garage sales for folks like us. So let me know out there, how have you done if you're a garage seller this year? This year for me, and sometimes it's just hit and miss, y'all. I don't feel like there's more sales. But man, I have done better this year at garage sales than I have done since maybe the year after the pandemic. That was a pretty darn good year. And my buddy Jimmy, Old School Flips over there, that's the hat I want right there. I'm going to put the camera down. Anyway, back to Jimmy. He said this is the best garage sale year he's ever had. Ever. And there are tons of them, and he's just killing it. So there's differing reports. I get different information from different people. I've heard people say it's over, it's terrible, and they're not finding anything. And I do go to more sales where I don't buy things than I ever have before. Back in the day, I would buy something from almost every single yard sale that I can make money on. That might be me more than anything else. This is a vintage mobile gas hat. It's actually a pretty nice one right here. Made in Hong Kong. There you go. That'll give you the age of it a little bit. And that one sold for decent money, y'all. Hats have not been great for me this summer and spring, but not bad. $24.95 for that hat. I'll take it for sure. And yes, as far as pricing, there's no doubt. Like, I used to always get t-shirts for 50 cents or $1. Now, a lot of times I'm buying stuff for $2 a piece. So maybe it's inflation. Maybe it's people realizing what things are. I don't really know. And of course, you know, I get all these comments on these videos, and you know, you always whine and complain about prices and whatever, and what I'm like, no, I don't. You know, you might be talking about somebody else, but you're hard-pressed to see me at a yard sale and ever say anything to a seller about their prices. Now, I might, you know, you know, once I've walked away, if I'm talking to the camera, say, man, that stinks. You know, it's just too much for me or something like that. But it's always about me as far as me being disappointed. I'm not whining. I never say anything like that. It's their stuff. It's their prerogative to price it. Now, you know, they might be keeping it. I've seen people try to sell stuff well over eBay value, at eBay value at their garage sale. And I'm not just talking about vendors out there. And yeah, you might sell some of it. But I think the point of most people having a garage sale is to make a little bit of money and to get rid of a bunch of stuff, which is what makes my job possible. And I love it. Now, I do pay up more than I really ever have before. And I think part of that, I think most of that is due to the fact that people can find out values, you know, use Google Lens and screw up the value, but at least they have an idea, right? And this one right here, not this one that I'm grabbing, the one behind it, although this is cool, a talking computer. You know I was going to buy that one. This AM shortwave radio kit right here. I swear I had 2 of these. I think the other one's down there somewhere. Maybe I didn't. I swear I bought 2 of these. Maybe it's buried back there. At any rate, I love shortwave radios. When I was a kid, I used to listen to different folks on there. I won't tell you who. You probably think I'm a nut. At any rate, this little kit, I think he wanted $5 for it. And, you know, back in the day, you'd find this stuff out there for $1, $2, whatever. He wanted $5, that's fine. So for $24.95 plus shipping. All right, so you chime in here. You chime in with how you've done this year. You chime in with what region you're from, what area are you from, what state are you from, what city are you close to, what are the prices looking like to you, what's the volume of yard sales looking like to you, with some anecdotal evidence here. And the region part, really, like I said, Oregon. I didn't know that about Oregon, and I lived in Oregon for a while. And I definitely remember going to yard sales there, too. My mom had them up there for a while. I was in college and go home and visit. Oklahoma City, as far as cities, is a big one. I've had the luxury, because you guys are so kind to watch my Commonwealth Picker channel, to go, and this channel, to go to different areas of the country. And there are some that aren't on this list here that I think probably should be. You know, Kentucky and Tennessee and whatever. I know they have those big sales, but there are some other sales out there too. I see somebody standing outside my door. Hold on. It was Jess getting ready for live shows. She had a few questions and then she left. So, and she also brought this. I have bought so much. You know me, that these Afghans, and I really love this one. She did too. She's like, fall is coming. Just put this one on eBay. I said, okay. So we're going to put it over there on eBay. We'll probably put it up on auction is my guess. I'm not quite sure. It might be buy it now. I need to put these over there on Antiquity and sell those, but she's got a huge show ready for this fall, a live show. We're going to start them all for $1. So if you ask me, if you're one of the people that ask me all the time why I don't list them on eBay, there'll be some listed on eBay, there'll be some over on Antiquity, and then there'll be some live over on Antiquity.com. So I love some of this analysis here, y'all. So when I talk about Pacific Northwest, it says highest per capita yard sale activity in the United States, Portland among the top 10 cities. Surprising to me. Minnesota, this is not surprising to me, frequently ranked including both interest and per capita metrics. They do sales up there like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like can't find anything on the weekend. I hear a dog out there. Ohio, Midwest and Plains, Minneapolis, Ohio, Cleveland area, and South. Cleveland often named the #1 or 2 city for weekend garage sale density. Wouldn't have thought that. I mean, definitely down south in the rural areas of Ohio, there's some great picking. Michigan hosts Michigan's longest garage sale, US 12. Okay. South and South Central. Indiana, Indianapolis, ranked 8th best city overall. Strong yard sale access and demand. We have not had a visitor today. There he is right there. I thought he was trying to get in. Oh. It's because this one's trying to get in. Oh, and here comes the other one. Poncho and Wallen. Here you go, bud. You can have a treat. There you go. There you go. Texas. Let's see. Fort Worth, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas. High search interest, community sales, large populations with garage sales. A lot of large population areas don't have a lot of garage sales, but these do. Kentucky and Tennessee and Appalachian South, that's for sure. This is not one of the greatest areas in the country to yard sale. I got to say that. It's not terrible. But it's definitely not. I've been to a ton of places, and this, you know, even Florida, there's a lot of good ones out there, but that's like flea market central, and there certainly are yard sales down there too, no doubt about it. But as far as picking versus garage sales, you know, there's a little bit of a difference. You know, it's like Pennsylvania. It's, you know, there's a little higher prices there. There's a lot of good stuff, but they're not going to necessarily rank in the garage sale list. But in the picking, there certainly is some good amount of that. Boise, Idaho ranks on here per capita. Not the hugest metropolitan area by any stretch of the imagination. Sold another hat. This one, I'll have to pull it out. Sold a Red Sox hat, and that's not high on the list. How did you get in here? Boots is in here, yo. I'll have to let her out. That one is a pretty cool hat, actually. Bought it for $1, sold for $13 plus shipping. They say that Denver, Colorado is one of the best metro areas around. Okay. We have been selling these Goldwell things, I don't even know what they are, pretty consistently. I think they're going to be down here, and I think this is the end of the road, y'all. We made some good money off of this buy. 3 of them sold. Carasilk Control. And these sold all together. They were individual listings, so... 60, what do they sell for? $65, I think? $63? I can't read my own writing. Plus shipping on those. Of course, these things don't really tell the whole story, but I can say that, you know, there are certain trends that drive this stuff in a micro sense. The macro sense, I think, is going to stay pretty steady, but give your rating of this year down below. I'm going to say of all the years I've been reselling, let's just take the last 10 because honestly, it was a different world in the early 2000s. Like I'd go out and find NESs like laying on the ground everywhere. It was crazy. So in the last 10 years, I would put this up in the top 2 or 3 for me in the last 10 years. For sure. Increased reliance on resale as an economic and environmental practice supported by e-commerce and local promotion platforms keeps the trend going in the right direction. See, I agree with that actually. Demographic and housing patterns, areas with older homes, I love going to older homes and out in the rural areas, and stable home ownership. People who have been in the same home for a long, long time tend to have a lot better stuff. Continue to yield vibrant sales cultures. So not just pure volume, but the quality of the sale. So anyway, let me know what you think below. So another CD, and this one was not one of the ones I bought in that shop Commons a lot. This was something I bought at a yard sale for $1 because it was sealed and brought it home. I didn't even scan it or anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll probably sell the Ramones sealed in a thing here, and it did. It sold for $9, so $1 into $9 plus shipping. Man, that weather changed quickly, but I gotta get in there because I gotta ship. It's gonna get wet, y'all. Whew. Probably water on the camera now. And Turner was out here playing catch and heard some lightning. He's like, I gotta get out of here. This did not sell on full price. Sweet though, Jeff Hamilton Racing. And those are really good ones. And this one didn't sell for a long, long time, but it sold for $70 plus shipping. Hey y'all, a little addendum to the video, secret. So everybody else already left, but I've been asked, I just finished the shipping. I've been asked so many times, like 6-8 times a day about AI listing and which one is the best and which one's gonna win and whatever. I have been doing a lot of legwork and I'm just about ready. I don't think it's as clear cut as do this, because I think for some people they don't need to do anything. For some people they need to go in this direction. For some people they need to go in another direction, which I can't go in because I'm not technologically savvy. But you might see 2 videos from now my opinions on that, and you might even see an affiliate link before that down below. I'll let the cat out of the bag soon, but there is a little bit of an addendum to that as well, because I've been working to try to make it more palatable for a certain group of people that are like me and you know, not people that want to list 10,000 things in a month. So you'll see that soon. Anyway, looking ahead to a couple videos from now. Bye.